In 1905, a YMCA secretary named Ralph Smedley had an idea to help the men he was associating with in talking and in meeting other people. He suggested a club where they could learn how to talk by talking. They welcomed the idea. We avoided the atmosphere of the classroom. We learned in moments of enjoyment, he said. In 1924, Toastmasters was established in California by Ralph Smedley. Today, Toastmasters International, a worldwide non-profit organization, has more than 16,000 clubs in 145 countries. The mission is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers was established in Oregon in 19 September 2005. Our members are from all over the world, and our meeting is on Mondays at 7 a.m. Oregon time and with the same Zoom link. Guests are always welcome. Mute your microphones during meeting unless you're going to speak, and leave your camera on to see your beautiful faces. Role takers, please identify your role in front of your name. Speakers, remember to pin a video or timer and be aware of the speaking time allocation. Our club is a live proof of true friendship. And I want to tell you this. Keep smiling, keep shining, knowing you can always count on me, for sure. That's what friends are for good times and bad times. I'll be on your side forevermore. That's what friends are for. And now I want to hand over the control to try to guess. So many times it happens too fast. He trades his glory for passion. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of this team rising up to the challenge of our meeting. And the last non-survivor fills our meetings with joy, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger.
Well, IU, you've been officially replaced. I like our new SAA, and I promise everybody I will not sing. With that in mind, we are going to have a fantastic meeting with nostalgia. I have longed for SAA to sing my introduction, and now it's come true. How about that? So let's move right on. Our Toastmaster of the day is our newest member, and of course, we are very excited to have him on board. He grew up in Calgary, Canada, and now lives in London, England. Please unmute yourself and give a warm RSS welcome to our Toastmaster, Ram.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers. Our theme for this meeting is nostalgia. So nostalgia is a sentimentality for the past, especially of fond memories. So I've asked all the functionaries today, what fond memories do they have that they're nostalgic for? When I asked Tiger what he's nostalgic for, he said he built a house, his dream house, overlooking the Columbia Gorge, and that was an amazing experience. So I'll now call on the functionaries for the meeting. So the first functionary I'll call on is Panos, our grammarian, who's going to explain the word of the day. So please help me welcome Panos.
Panos is not here.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh dear, he was here.
yeah, it drops.
Should I just? I'll just move on, and maybe should I just? I'll move on and try and get him. Maybe he'll come back in. Okay.
Sure, right. Sure.
Sure. Okay. So we'll now introduce our next functionary, which is our counter, Melva. Now I asked Melva what happy memories she had. She said, "My happiness is when I know my mom is proud of me, proud of having me." So to explain the R counter role, please welcome Melva.
Okay, well, thanks, Ram. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. I am Melva. Now I am as a counter. My role is to note filler words and repeat words like are, so, well, like, but, I mean, like, that's it. Thanks. Back to you, Ram.
Thank you, Melva. So our next functionary is our timer, Ayu. So when I asked Ayu what happy memory she had that she's nostalgic for, she said, my happy memories are when I was with my old friends back in junior high school. We stay friends till now, even though we're separated by space and time. Every time we have a chance to meet, things and events are like yesterday. So to explain the timer role, please welcome Ayu.
Hi, everybody. Today I will be your timer. So how I communicate this timing, this will be your minimum time when you reach your minimum time allocation, I will show this green and this is in between. And when you see red, you have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech. And when that 30 seconds happen, I will clap. That means I will mute you. So be careful. We try to be better in our time management while speaking. And I will report everything through chat. Is there anything else? No. So back to you, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayu. Is Panos back yet, or what should we do here? Should we get Tiger to step in as grammarian?
Tiger, would you like to step in?
Sure. So as grammarian today, I will be looking for language that is becoming, that enhances your speech. I'll also be looking for language that possibly distracts from your speech. The word of the day is long. So not in short or long, but in that I long for something, such as I long to learn how to speak Indonesian. Thank you, Ram. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Tiger, for stepping in. Okay, so now it's time to start the meeting. So the meeting will consist of 3 parts: prepared speeches, table topics, and evaluation. So the first part of the meeting is speaking, and we have 3 speakers today. So our first speaker is Shilpa, and she'll be speaking from the Presentation Mastery Manual Level 3 on effective body language for 5 to 7 minutes. So with a speech entitled, Good Morning, please welcome Shilpa.
Good morning. I have to share my morning routine with everyone today. A very good morning to you. I'm glad I did not oversleep today. The first thing, today I'm going to share with you 5 things that I do every morning to make my mornings and my day successful. I'll share with you 5 things. The first thing, just made an energy ball and thank God for everything, the goodness that He has given me. Thanking Him for this beautiful new day. Are you all able to hear me? Very well. We have a good morning already. The second part of my routine is to get on the weighing machine and check my weight. Oh, I have gained 3 pounds in one day, all because of those donuts. Some days are like, wow, I have lost some weight today. The third part of my routine, very important, I'm sure many of you would be doing is my morning cup of, not coffee, not tea, but water. It can be with apple cider vinegar or lemon, whatever you want, but a cup of warm water to get my metabolism started, get the day started, not having it like gulp it all up, but having it sip by sip, relaxed and easy. So that was the third essential part of my routine. Now, I would like to have a look at what are you all doing and also where my timer is currently. Timer! So let's get to IU. But okay, the fourth part of my routine is, this is what? What is this? This is coconut oil. Any ideas what I would be doing with this? I have a spoon and a coconut oil. Has anyone heard about oil pulling? This is an ancient Indian technique where you put a teaspoon or two of it in your mouth and just either keep it in your mouth or gargle and swish it around. Just take one goodness of coconut oil and put it in your mouth. Then it just, oil has the properties to attract dirt. It just takes out all the toxins from your body and it keeps you toxin free for the day. That was my fourth thing for my routine. Coming back to my last one that I'm going to talk today, but definitely not the least one. There is so much benefits of this routine that we have talked in our meetings about it earlier. It is my daily workout. It is my yoga, 20 minutes. So I just start with my yoga, just start with my relaxing butterfly poses. Then I do some sun salutations. Then I have, very important these days, is the breathing exercises. I hope you all know about the breathing in through one nostril, breathing out through the another one. That is something called Anulom Vilom. I'm not sure if you have done this, but I surely recommend it because it increases your lung capacity. So those were the 5 things I did as a part of my morning routine to make it a good one. I started with thanking the Lord for a beautiful day. Second thing, I kept a tab on my weight. Third thing, I had the morning cup of hot water. Fourth thing, I had my oil pulling done to keep my body toxin free. Fifth one that I talked about today was the yoga workout easy session. And I keep the workouts like weightlifting or playing badminton with my daughter or running around walking for the evening activities. This was my morning routine. And now coming about you. Probably some of you have already been doing these things, or some of you would long to adapt some of these in your daily routines. But what I feel, why is a daily routine important, and what is the basic thing to know about daily routines is, first, it's not about me. It's about all of you. So your routines, your morning routines has to be important for you. It needs to be based on your body needs. It needs to be based on what you want to do. What is your reason for doing it? It should not be based on any YouTuber's philosophies or any yoga guru's advice. It should be what your body wants or what works for you. That is the first main point. Remember, tailor it to your needs. Second very important thing is this notebook, this journal. It's said that discipline is bigger than motivation. Yes, I am motivated, I'll do it. But that sleep is more important than waking up and doing stuff like this. But this notebook, I keep a track of what I have done and what I have not. And it is help me track how lazy or how peculiar I have been. So I would strictly recommend making a journal about your habits, because it said that 21 days you need to form a habit, but I need only 2 days to break it. I'll keep a track of it. Probably I'll hang on to it. Thank you, everyone. What would you like to add to your routine, or what are some of your routines? Please share in the chat. Thank you for listening to me today. Have a fabulous good morning.
Thank you very much, Shilpa. Great advice about our routines. So our next speaker will be Michelle, and she'll be doing her icebreaker speech for 4 to 6 minutes. So with a speech entitled Midnight Magic, please welcome Michelle.
Thank you so much, Ram. The other day, while Dave and I were walking, taking our it was an afternoon walk, we started thinking about Christmas and how we could decorate our home just for the feeling of Christmas. And all of a sudden, unexpectedly, a flood of memories just started to engulf me. I felt transported back to my childhood and remembering those nostalgic moments of Christmases past. There were 3 types of memories that made me really nostalgic. And somehow they all revolved around midnight, or at least leading up to midnight. I grew up in the Philippines. The Philippines is predominantly a Catholic country, but before Catholicism, I understand there was also animism, a lot of belief in, I think the word would be superstitious rituals and all those exciting colors. So our Christmases in the Philippines are not just the usual Catholic celebration of Christmas, but a lot more. So one of the first early memories is of the spectacular sights. There would be this huge montage of what were known as the nativity scenes. We would go to this department store. It's sadly gone now, but it was called COD, which I think was supposed to mean cash on delivery. And they would make this gigantic nativity scene. The camels would be more than full size. They would be huge, the 3 kings. And of course they had the donkeys and they had Jesus and, well, the baby Jesus. We could never see the infant because they would have the display way up on the second and third floor of their building. And people would go there and stand for hours waiting for a good view. And then the music would start up and we would hear they would have, sometimes it would be songs with lyrics like 3 Kings, or music, whatever. But those spectacular sights just brought me back and made me long for Christmases past. And then those were just the sights, the sounds as well. It was funny because we were in the Philippines and we didn't have snow, but one of the most nostalgic sounds would be sleigh bells. Ding, ding, ding. We never really had sleighs. We never had snow or much less reindeer, but that just gave me a feeling of Christmas. And because Filipinos love to eat, the third S, there was the spectacular sights, the splendid sounds. What else but sumptuous food? Oh my gosh. I would remember the smells of the food and just the flavor. If you have not tried Filipino cooking, then you have not started to live fully yet. So all of these brought back memories. But what does it have to do with midnight and magic? Well, one of the rituals, well, I say rituals, let's say activities or traditions in the Philippines was midnight mass. And midnight mass meant that my mom would be cooking and cooking and cooking, but we were not supposed to touch the food. We just had a very light dinner or supper, as my mom used to call it. We didn't call it dinner, we called it supper. We would have a light supper because then we would get dressed in our Christmas finery and get ready for church, midnight mass. So normally we would start heading to the church around 10 or 10:30 in the evening, and we go to church for midnight mass. And if the priest was really good, he would time the end of the mass just a few minutes before midnight, and he would give his blessing. And then midnight would come and all the church bells would be ringing. And of course, even before, especially before firecrackers were banned, you would hear all the firecrackers, all of that. And there would be the smell of the firecrackers, and it would just be a total cacophony, but a pleasant one. And that longing comes back. And when I smell anything that has to do with Christmas, when I hear sounds like sleigh bells, or when I see those Christmas lights, they just all come back. And I just feel once again engulfed in just a warm, nostalgic feeling that I long for. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for those wonderful memories. Our third and final speaker is Sara. When I asked her about her happy memories, she said it was spending time with her grandma, who would make whatever she wanted to eat, and she was a wonderful cook. So Sara is presenting a speech from level 3 of team collaboration called Successful Collaboration for 5 to 7 minutes. With a speech entitled The Conducting Leader, please welcome Sara.
As I entered the spacious room, submerged in a lower light, I see in front of the orchestra a conductor. Suddenly he stops and he asks the orchestra to play without him. You may think that they will play in a very unharmonious way, but surprisingly, they do it right. It is not the case. They can play. So he asked the orchestra, but what do I do here? You don't need a leader? In fact, the work of the conducting leader is to make not only that the musicians come one after the other, or that they just play notes. His job is to make that they excel in the playing music, and that they not only play notes, but that they can play music together. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Several weeks ago, I took the responsibility to organize the 15th anniversary meeting of the RFS Club. It was a big challenge, and throughout this process, I also learned many lessons. I would like to share with you 4 of them, and I can tell you that I felt like a conductor during this period. Well, the first challenge was to create a meeting that was different, that was engaging for everyone. So that we started discussing some ideas, and I was really afraid not to cover the expectations because as a new member, I haven't prepared something like this before. But at this point, many members came to me and offered me help. They gave me some ideas about a virtual toast, about some speakers, about table topics, activities, etc. And in this moment, I learned one lesson. No matter how big the project is, if you have an orchestra or a club to support you. Then the following step was to establish a program for the agenda, was to give the different roles to a team. The people who will be in charge of making this happen, these activities, etc. We planned something, we had the time for every activity, and it was another challenge to get everything on time, to perform the meeting as planned. And I can tell you that most of the activities were very on time, but somehow we also did some mistakes, and we had to adjust time for some others. Here I learned another lesson. The leader, even if the participants know exactly what is the role, the leader is there to ensure that they will excel in their activities. The leader is indispensable for achieving the excellence of the whole team. Then think about an orchestra. If you go to the place of the piano, you see the orchestra with some point of view. If you go to the place of the violin, you see the orchestra from another point of view. It's the same with some individual visions in this event or in any teamwork. Every individual has another vision, and the leader is there and has to have some idea of this individual vision, but also has to have very clear what is the common goal in order that these individual visions are not affecting this common goal. So the leader needs to be aware of these perceptions and needs to balance them out. The other lesson I learned is that the leader has to be visionary. He has to have, or she has to have, a clear idea of what is the goal, what is the common goal. And with this, transmit it to the team so that the team is aware of those goals and can in every time look forward and not backward. They cannot just focus on mistakes, but they have to look forward. That's my 4th lesson. So in order to recap, the first lesson that I learned is that no matter how big the project is, as long as you have an orchestra or a team that supports you. The second is that the leader is responsible for the team to achieve excellence in the work. And the third one is that the leader needs to be aware of the individual perceptions in order to balance them out. And the fourth is that the leader reminds everyone to look forward and not backward. Being a leader is about vision. It's about being attentive. It's about combining trust with the members of the team. It's about giving the conditions in order to achieve the goal. The major attribute attribute is the modesty in order to share the achievements with the team. And an important parallel that I found with a leader and a conductor is to never took the boat alone, but with the whole team. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for that wonderful analogy. Now it's time to move on to a second part of our meeting, which is table topics, where we practice our impromptu speaking. And table topics will be led by Assyl. And when I asked her her happy memory, she says her happy memories are with her two cousins who are her best friends. Please help me welcome Assyl.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, Aaron. Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, nostalgia is a longing for a good time. So today, let's talk about our fond memories from the past. My first question, by the way, thank you for the wonderful questions. Tell us one good memory during your childhood. Tell us one good memory during your childhood. This question will go to Kevin.
Thank you, Assyl. As of right now, I can look back and have a happy, pleasant feeling when I think about the time when I would go fishing with my grandfather. Every year in the summer, we would have a big family get together, like a reunion, if you will, over at the coast. Every morning, we would get up early in the morning, my grandfather and we would get on the boat and drive out on the lake and spend the entire morning fishing. We would fish for perch. Perch is a fish that when you fry it and you eat it, it tastes so delicious. I remember the fond times of me being out there with my grandfather and enjoying his company, listening to him tell me stories of his early days when he would fish with his father. Sometimes we wouldn't say anything. Sometimes we just enjoy the silence of the lake. And we'd have such a good time catching fish, and we would always find the best spots to catch the fish. I'm sorry that my grandfather passed away about 13 years ago, but I never had a chance to tell him how much fun I had with him at that time and how those memories are so significant in my heart and it sort of helps carve my, it just creates happy memories, and I think about it all the time, and it gives me positive energy. So looking back, yes, the time with me and my grandfather fishing out on the lake. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for sharing your memory about your grandfather and catching fish and listening to silence. Beautiful. Thank you. Second question. Who was the person inspired you when you were a child, teenage? Who was the person inspired you when you were a child, a teenage? This question will go to Hunang. Hunang?
Thank you. See, you surprised me. Could you asking who the first person who inspired me when I was a child is my neighborhood. She's like a sister to me. I don't have no sister. I have a younger sister. But my neighbor, she is a good one for me, who inspiring me to do anything like clean my house, washing my clothes, going to study. She's loving me. She said to me that I am prince. She is my nanny. We go to school together. She older than me, but she loved me. We went to school together in the first grade. She had her family at Phnom Penh, and someday she went to Phnom Penh and she got a new shoe. And then she bring it to my village and she share with me. We wear it one day for me. I wear on Monday and then she wear it on Tuesday. And she inspiring me to be a good student in the class and to have a dream when I was a child, because she inspiring me that I am a princess. That's why I thought that, wow, when I grew up, I want to be a lovely lady that inspire people. As I am a good lady, I will have a good heart like a princess that help many people. So now I'm think about that. She said that I am a princess. Now I'm helping a lot of children, and it's reminding me a lot about her. But now she's gone. Yeah, thank you, Assyl.
Thank you, Honam, about sharing your wonderful memories about your neighborhood. She is a really person who inspired you, and also she inspired us. Third question, what was the best memory about your family member? This question will go to, do we have a guest? Angela. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, got unmuted now. Sorry, could you repeat the question? I lost it.
Can you talk about your family member? Good memories about your family member? The good times?
I come from a very big family. Having grown up in the tropics, I've got some quite interesting memories. I'm going to give you one around Christmas time. One thing my mother loathed was a live Christmas tree. She hated them. And we all said, why? She said, because it would smell. And also all the leaves would drop off and make a big mess in our sitting room. But you see, my brothers wouldn't listen to my mother. When she would go to sleep because she worked night, they would sneak off, go to the local marketplace. They would go and actually buy a live Christmas tree, put it up in the sitting room and put little blobs of cotton wool all over it as if it was Christmas. To me, I always loved Christmas, and this is one of my greatest memories. My mother would get up and she would say, who did this? And I said, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And, you know, to this day, I think I also yearn and I long for a beautiful Christmas tree. I think it's one thing that, to me, it signifies Christmas. It signifies a great time of birth and rebirth. And here in England, I haven't had one since I arrived here. I looked in the shops today and all they've got is this. And all I could think was, Mom, I just wish you would say to us, don't get a Christmas tree, and that my brothers were here to go and get one for you. Yeah, she's still here, but she doesn't remember every single day. If you ask me, most of my memories would actually revolve around Christmas, especially my mom and the Christmas tree, because to this day, that memory actually makes her laugh. It's one of the greatest memories she has. Thank you, Madam Table Topic. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Angela. We don't celebrate Christmas in Kazakhstan. So when I learned about Christmas when we were in the US, I just fell in love with this, you know, spirit. It was beautiful, great memories. Thank you so much for sharing. So our next question, tell us one good memory you had in life. This question will go to our beautiful Alice. Alice?
Thank you, Assyl. Can you repeat, please? Can you repeat?
Tell us one good memory that you had in your life.
Let me think. I can remember one laughing memory with my two kids. My friend asked my elder kid, my little kid, I have two boys, what would you do if you have much money? And he said, I would sell my elder brother. And and she asked him, you had so much money. Why do you want to sell your elder brother? You have so much money. Because I have to pay them to take him. he answered. It's one of my favorite moments, and when I think of it, I laugh when I'm alone. And that is my favorite laughing time. Memory.
Thank you so much, Alice. Thank you. Today, Michelle took us to her childhood. She said that she grew up in Philippines and they have these superstitious things. So I'm gonna ask one of you if you have these superstitious things, and can you share the moments that related to that superstitious thing? Mona Lisa, are you there? Mona Lisa? Okay, who else we have? Esther.
I'm so sorry, can you please repeat the question?
I'm saying that today Michelle took us to her childhood, and she said that she grew up in Philippines and they have these superstitious things. So do you have any moments related to superstitious things? Can you share with us?
Yeah, superstitious thing. I would say that, like, even I have grown up in an Orthodox family. You can see that a kind of Orthodox family in India. So, wherein when I was in my grandparental house, that we had a huge farm in front of our house, and wherein we always believe that there are some spirits out there. And whenever at night, like, our room was just right in front of that farm. Whenever you used to open up our door, that farm was right straight visible. Like, whenever at night we used to open the door of our room, and I could sense like something superficial is there, or maybe some power is there, which is, you may say, that's not harming you, but it's still, its presence is there. So I could sense such kind of things till the time we were living in that parental house. So, like, our grandparents always believe that there are some kind of superficial, or you can say that these supernatural powers which exist in that particular farm.
Thank you.
So this
Thank
was
you.
all about the superstition.
Thank you so much, Mona Lisa. Do we have time for one more question?
Actually, we do still have, because in my computer still, we can have one more, Assyl. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm gonna repeat this question again. Tell us, can you share your good memory about your childhood? This question will go to Lai.
Thank you, table topic master. Can you repeat it again once more?
Good memory about your childhood.
For me, my most memorable child memory is the time I spent with my grandparents in the neighborhood together with my friends along together, because during that time when when we just finish school, when we go home as a group of friends, where we enjoy to have our walking back together to our home having lunch together at each other house, sometimes like switching around that today they are in my house, the next day I'm in the other friend's house, where we spend our time together, like studying together, playing together, and even fighting against each other as a childhood memories that has been bonded with us, where we are close to each other with the families and our grandparents, each other grandparents as well, where we learn from each other, because in Malaysia, this is a multicultural in the place where we learn from each other. That's my sharing of my favorite childhood memory. Back to you, table topic master Assyl.
Thank you so much, Lan, for sharing your memory about your childhood. So now I think my table topic session is done. So back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, Ram.
Thank you very much, Assyl. It's now time to move on to the evaluation portion of our meeting. So in Toastmasters, evaluation is a vital part of every meeting. It's how we grow, how we improve as speakers. I myself, over my Toastmasters journeys, have improved tremendously due to all the feedback I've got over the years. And in Toastmasters, normally we get commendations of what we did well, as well as recommendations as to what we could do better. So it's good to have that balance of what you did well and what you could improve on. So let's move on to our speech evaluators. Our first speech evaluator is Yasmeen. When I asked her what her happy memory was, she said it was her time in Rome, learning, exploring the city, getting new food, meeting people, going to the beaches, and becoming introduced to Toastmasters. So to evaluate Shilpa's speech, please welcome Yasmeen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ram. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Shilpa. Does it remind you all something? Yes, indeed it reminds us about Shilpa and her morning routine. Her speech was from level 2, and the purpose was effective body language. So she was to communicate through her verbal, but more so from her non-verbal speech. Don't you all agree that she put her best in terms of, passing the message non-verbally to us? Right from her dress up, look at her. Is this the Shilpa we see on screen all the time? No, this is the Shilpa in the very morning. So she has taken care of the minutest details. Being there in the morning, and guess guys how we saw her. She was sleeping on the sofa. Very bold attempt, very bold experiment to play with the screen, to play with the body language, to play, to be bold, come up on the screen and try different things. You have tried the maximum. I guess you were excellently experimenting, feeling free and bold to sort of, come up non-verbally. I think your messages have all remained with us. We know your 5 routines. We know what we have to do. We don't have to customize our routines as per what YouTubers say. So we know that we have to be disciplined and we have to write it in the notebook. Now, if it is stayed in me, if I get reminded, it means that your message was well structured. It was very clear what we want to know from you and what you wanted to convey. So you did really excellent work at structuring your speech, and definitely very good at verbal pattern. Your confidence was very good. Now, coming as to what we really can think in terms of improvement, because definitely you are looking for some suggestions from my end. First thing I would say is please slow down a little bit, just a little bit slow for us to really live the moments and your gestures. Secondly, I would say at one point you had to figure out where the timer is and bring that up. I'm sure you had practiced on the timings, but if not, please try to see, because it was just in the beginning. So I could not relate why in the very beginning you would worry about the timings. you really had experimented on the screen, but this leaves a room for improvement. You would like to practice a little bit more of how you play with the screen, because we all know this is different world, different from the physical world. So when you are pointing, you know, and a little bit more, because I know it was a bit more of experiment, because when you are sleeping, then you're coming up again and adjusting the screen. So just practice it to make it little more refined. And as a challenge, I would like to challenge you to involve the audience more. For example, when you had this yoga, maybe you could have a little bit try to see, you know, do it with the audience. That's it from my side. Over and all, excellent. We enjoyed it, and good morning to everyone again. Back to Ram.
Thank you very much, Yasmeen, for that insightful evaluation. So it's now time for a second speech evaluator, Aimee. And when I asked Aimee what happy memory she had, she said it was living with her 5 friends in London and exploring Brixton. She has great memories from 10 years ago when she lived in London. So evaluating Michelle's speech, please welcome Aimee.
Thank you, Ram. Well, Michelle really brought us on a journey here. She took us right back to her childhood in the Philippines at Christmas time. She started with a lovely story when herself and David walking down, talking about how they're going to decorate for Christmas. And I thought that was a really nice intro in. And then Michelle followed it by leading us in with like the power of 3, her 3 points that she was going to talk about, which were the spectacular sights, the splendid smells, and the sumptuous food. Yeah, all of these are just so descriptive. I loved this. I loved how Michelle really painted a picture for us. Before she went into her 3 points as well, she gave us a nice bit of background to what Christmas in the Philippines was like, saying that it's Catholic and there's some superstitious things, which as a recommendation here, I would have loved to heard a bit more about. We all know what the standard Christmas is, but I would love to have heard what the superstition, what the Philippine twist and the superstitious things. I'd love to have heard a little bit more of that. But you did paint that picture with letting us know about these huge monumental statues of the nativity scene, and how everyone would queue up to wait and see this. You tingled all our senses. When you told us about all the sounds, you had the sleigh bells, you had church bells ringing, you had firecrackers. A recommendation around all of this as well, though, would be, I would have loved to have got the feeling that the childhood excitement from you, because I know myself, when I think back to times when I was a kid and you had that Christmas feeling, you're bursting with excitement, and you have the tingles and everything. So I would have loved it. It was as if the adult you was speaking. I would have loved to have seen the child you come out at points during the story. With your, when you brought us further on then with your sumptuous foods and telling us about if you haven't eaten Filipino food, then you haven't lived. And I take your word here. But again, I'd love to have had a little bit more detail at that point, and to give us some excitement about all the food, get us watering. Overall, though, it was a beautiful little story. I'm a little critical that you've now brought the Christmas ship in and it's still September, so possibly a little too soon, but it'll be on all our minds now anyway. So thank you, Michelle, and thank you for bringing us into that part of your life. It was really beautiful. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Aimee, for that thorough evaluation. Now it's time for our third and final evaluator, Nizar. So evaluating Sarah's speech, please welcome Nizar.
Thank you so much, Sam, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and Sara. You know, one of the purpose of Sara's speech is to share with us her experience in practicing and working with the groups and in a collaboration way. And she decided to share her experience in working with RSS group. And what made RSS the RSS we are seeing today. And you know, she didn't just start here. I work with RSS. I have the privilege in working with RSS members, and I learned 4 lessons. She didn't do that. She grabbed our attention, and she showed the greatness of the work of the RSS team. She made it as an orchestra, and I like your beginning. You grabbed our attention as an orchestra, and this is why I am standing here in my evaluation. You stood up, and you used the orchestra, nice technique, and also I like your standing and also playing with the ground during your all performance in your speech. What else I noticed? The 4 lessons that you shared with us, it was emotional when you are sharing with us those lessons because you felt it while you work in RSS with Tiger and the other teams in RSS. I could feel when you see that you were a little bit afraid, then you started learning. Everyone was teaching you something in speech delivery and evaluation and etc. And how, for example, the role of the leader in helping everyone in RSS team and looking forward, not backward, and the rest of the lessons learned. So well done, Sara, in that. If I want to challenge Sara and to make her performance to the next level, I would advise you to give yourself the time if you want to do something new. For example, you start at the beginning with the hat of the orchestra and everything was perfect, but I could feel that you were in a hurry. You could use your time doing the orchestra, tararan, 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 and guess what? The orchestra leader is not here. Imagine an orchestra doing this. You did that, but I felt that you were in a hurry. For example, you tried to whisper to us and playing with your vocal variety. You could take your time in doing so. I felt that you were in a hurry. Number 3, your ending was perfect about that no one will leave the boat alone, something like that. You could give yourself the time. I felt as well that you were in a hurry in doing the ending. For example, you could build on that and doing the ending and give yourself the time. I felt a little bit you were in a hurry. Another advice that I would give Sara, instead of doing the 4 points of the learning you did, for example, you learned number 1, number 2, number 3, you could share with us a story from your experience, telling us what was the story. I'm sure there was many stories in your experience in RSS. You could share with us one story that reflects those 4 learning. Other than that, I like your speech. I like the key message of the speech. All in all, it was exceptional performance, and I'm looking forward to your upcoming speeches. Thank you.
Thank you, Nizar, for that insightful evaluation. Now it's time for the functioning reports. So the first report is the grammarian report. So please welcome Tiger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. First of all, good news. Almost everybody used the word of the day. So the word of the day long was excellently chosen by Panos. We had a lot of good language today, very simple language that I like. A happy, pleasant feeling, Mr. Kevin. Angela, it was one of my favorite memories. Sara, the conductor has the musicians not only play notes, but play music together. And Sara, one thing I would like to point out, sometimes you say things like surprising, where it should have been surprisingly, and you use etc. twice. The leader is indispensable. Sara, you're my best friend. I love that. You remember that. Aimee, you painted a picture for us. Nizar, she grabbed our attention. Other than that, it was an exceptional performance. Good to have, oh, this was Ram. Good to have feedback on what you did well and what you need to improve upon. Yasmeen, the word customize, and your message was well structured and clear. However, Yasmeen, you're running sentences together. It was funny because you told Shilpa to slow down. I was thinking the same thing for you. It was like you had 4 cups of tea this morning. Michelle, a flood of memories, superstitious rituals, a warm, nostalgic feeling that I long for. Michelle's always great at getting in the word of the day. However, she did say, you have not started to live yet. It should have been, you have not begun to live yet. A very good morning to you. What a great way to start, Shilpa. That was wonderful. You did say to make it a good one, and you left out the subject. I think you meant to say to make it a good day. That is my report. Thank you, everyone, for using the word of the day. Excellent meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Tiger. Now time for the next function report. Please welcome our R counter, Melva.
Well, thanks, Ram. This rule make me, I have to pay attention with your speech. Now I'll note it. For Shilpa, you are one Hello, do you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Sara, one 3 Repeat words so that. Assyl, one 2 Repeat words I play. Kevin, one Repeat words my. Kunang, 3 Repeat words she had. Angela, one Alice, 5 2 and repeat words them, my. Mona Lisa, one Lai, one repeat words when. Yasmeen, one repeat words if it. I'm 8 repeat words this when you. Nizar, 2 repeat words I you her and the names that I don't mention it, they are clear. Thanks, back to you, Ram.
Thank you very much, Melva. That was a lot of counting. Okay, and now it's time for our timekeepers report. Please welcome Ayu.
Hi everyone. I will report my timer in the chat, which is prepare speech, everybody eligible, and then table topic, everybody eligible. Only Alice need to talk a little bit more. And then for evaluation, yes, everybody is okay. Only Nizar overtime a little bit. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Ayu. It's now time for our general evaluator who's going to give some feedback to the evaluators and the meeting as a whole. So please help me welcome Andrea onto the stage.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come in and take on such an important role, even though I'm not that familiar with your club. But it's a great thing to do because I have a unique perspective coming from another club and being able to compare it to my club. I want to say I really was impressed with the way the meeting opened. There was some fun banter going on. There were no awkward pauses of people sitting there, what am I supposed to do? So that was really wonderful. The next thing I noticed was how much smiling there is going on in this meeting. That makes a meeting so much more fun when everybody's smiling and upbeat, especially on Zoom. I feel like that is extremely important. Because we may be going to so many meetings, work meetings, where people are dour. We want to come here for something joyful and have a great time. The Toastmaster, I was really impressed with what you did, Ram. The way that you reached out beforehand to engage all the functionaries and ask them questions related to the theme. I really want to bring this back to my club because it gives everybody a chance to know each other a little bit more in different ways. I haven't seen that before in any club, and I really thought it was wonderful. Table topics master, I really enjoyed Assyl, the way that you summed up everything people said, and that makes people really feel heard. For the evaluators, it sounds like you all have the general evaluator go and evaluate each evaluator. So I'm going to do that. Yasmeen, your smiling was really wonderful. You gave some, I want an overall summary of all the evaluators before I start. Smiling was really great. There was always constructive feedback for everyone. I've seen in some clubs where they just give positive feedback. They don't say anything people did wrong. Well, in this club, we clearly made it a priority to give people constructive feedback. That's the only way we get better if we know things we can improve on. And so that was wonderful that you all did that. I appreciated, Yasmeen, as I said, I appreciated your smiling, your constructive criticism, and the very specific feedback that you gave. A recommendation or thought I had on what I really love, what I love in evaluations is when people say what helps them in particular. So if you make your feedback be personal to yourself, that makes it a lot easier to take for other people. So that's what I just did. I said, I love it when people do this. That helps me get through a speech better, get through an evaluation better. So that's a thing I would recommend. Another thing is I really appreciated the way you wrapped up your evaluation by saying, good morning. You started it with that and you ended it with that. So it gave it a nice rounded evaluation. Aimee, you were also smiling. You also gave a great summary. I'm trying to find you. I don't see you. You gave a summary at the end. That was wonderful. You talked about the senses and how that was effective. That Michelle did. She brought in the senses to really paint the picture. And then the recommendations were also very specific about adding a Philippine twist and the detail on the food. And then I also appreciated your humor in talking about how early it is for us to be talking about Christmas. Nizar, your evaluation was so entertaining. I loved how you moved around the camera so much, and you put your hand right in front of the camera, so that gave it so much variety and made us keep wanting to watch and listen. That was fantastic. I want to use so many of those things that you did. I also appreciate that you brought in a prop. You brought in 2 props. Just came up with these props off the top of your head. That was incredible. That's so impromptu to be able to do that. Okay, now I'm on to the specific evaluators for Marion, Tiger. It was wonderful how you called out beautiful uses of language and you added ways to improve. That's another thing that we often skip in our club. We often talk about, it's kind of like the grammarian is the good cop and the all-counter is the bad cop. But you were able to bring in that constructive criticism, so that was wonderful. Alba, you did a nice job also with smiling as you gave your bad cop report. Timer. Oh, that was a great thing too that I appreciated about this club. It's great how you put it in the chat and then just summarize it, because there's a lot of things to go through for the timer. So I'm gonna think about bringing that back to my club too. All in all, I've really had a great time, and I can see why you keep adding members. That's a thing we want in our club. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for that beautiful feedback and for stepping in at the last moment. We really appreciate it. So that ends my time as Toastmaster, but let me tell you about my happy memories before I pass on to Tiger. So my happy memories are long summer days, spent the whole day outside with my friends, the whole summer spent outside with my friends, not a care in the world. Gosh, I'll miss those days. Thank you very much, and I'll pass back to Tiger.
Thank you, Ram, and excellent job of Toastmastering today, sir. I appreciate that you shared with that, because I didn't have any nostalgia for you, so you saved me at the end. Excellent meeting, especially the evaluations, and thank you so much, Andrea, for stepping in at the last minute and giving us a very thorough, excellent summary of our meeting. You fit right in here, and you are welcome back at any time. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and close this meeting. Please feel free to stick around afterwards, guests and members, and we can have a little session and find out how everyone felt about our meeting. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and close the meeting officially. 1, 2, and 3.